Michael stood by the gate of his small rented apartment when he saw his girlfriend, Clara, step out of a white minibus parked by the roadside. His brows furrowed. "Clara, what are you doing here? I thought you said you were going to your friend's house to get your hair done." Clara smiled, adjusting her red blouse. "Yes, I am. I'm actually going with her now." Michael glanced at the man behind the wheel. "And who is he?" Clara hesitated, then answered lightly, "He's an Uber driver." Michael shook his head slowly. "Clara, there's no Uber service in this part of town." Clara let out a small laugh. "Well, there is now. Don't worry, it's for the customer's comfort." She leaned in and quickly gave him her cheek. "Bye, love." Michael frowned. "Why only your cheek? Can't I kiss your lips?" Clara winked. "Because you'll mess up my lipstick. See you later." Later that day, Michael met his close friend Anita at a small cafe near his office. She stirred her coffee while eyeing him carefully. "Michael, is everything okay with Clara?" He sighed. "Yes, everything's fine." "What?" Anita leaned closer. "Because I just saw her leave with that same man. And I'm telling you, he's not her Uber." Michael raised his hands. "Don't insinuate things without proof, Anita. Clara said he's her Uber, and I believe her." Anita smirked. "Michael, you're too naive. Follow them if you doubt me. You'll see with your own eyes." That evening, the man Anita had seen knocked on a wooden door inside a quiet estate. A middle-aged man opened it and frowned. "Good afternoon. Who are you looking for?" The visitor smiled politely. "Good afternoon, sir. I'm here to see Clara." The man relaxed. "Ah, you're a friend? You're the one I saw earlier on the street, right?" The visitor nodded. "Yes, we were schoolmates. Old friends." The man chuckled. "Well, any friend of Clara's is welcome. Come inside." Inside the living room, Clara was sitting on a couch, scrolling through her phone. The man at the door called out, "My love, someone is here to see you." Clara froze, then looked up. "Who is it?" The visitor stepped forward with a smile. "Hello, Clara. It's me, David, your old schoolmate." Clara forced a smile. "David? What are you doing here?" David shrugged. "I came to ask for a small favor. I need the contacts of our former classmates, so we can plan a reunion." Clara shifted uncomfortably. "Oh no, I don't have those numbers anymore." David tilted his head. "That's odd. You were always close to everyone. I thought you'd still be in touch." Clara's partner, Richard, who had been watching quietly, spoke up. "My dear, isn't there an address book upstairs with those contacts? Why don't you check?" Clara quickly interrupted. "I already lost it, Richard. And besides, David was just leaving." David's smile faded. "Why so insistent that I leave so quickly?" Richard ignored the tension and leaned forward. "Tell me, David, are you married now?" David's expression darkened. "I was once. I loved my wife with everything I had, but it turned out she was living a double life. While she was with me, she was also with someone else." Richard gasped. "That's terrible. I wouldn't wish that on anyone." David gave a bitter smile. "It happens." Then his eyes moved to Clara. "At least you, Clara, seem to be doing well in love." Richard proudly placed his arm around Clara. "Yes, we've been together for a year now, and she's the love of my life." David nodded, but there was sadness in his eyes. "Congratulations. Lucky you. At least you found happiness." Clara shifted again. "David, I really think it's time you go now. Your Uber must be waiting." David's eyes burned as he replied, "Yes, one that's actually real." He turned to Richard. "I wish you both happiness." Clara looked down, her hands trembling slightly. After David left, Richard turned to Clara. "Who was that man really, Clara?" She forced a laugh. "I told you, just an old school friend. Why would I lie to you?" Richard shook his head. He acted strange, almost like there was more. Clara sighed, feigning annoyance. "He's always been like that. Don't overthink it." Richard leaned back. "By the way, you should have asked him for his sister's number. You said you wanted to reconnect." Clara froze again. Later that night, David waited outside near Clara's street. When she came out to throw away some trash, he stepped forward. "Clara," she gasped. "David, what are you doing here?" He shook his head. "Clara, why didn't you tell me the truth? We were together once. Why hide everything?" Clara whispered, "I was going to tell you, but I fell in love with Richard." David's face tightened. "You fell in love with him, or with his house and money?" Clara's lips trembled. "Don't judge me for wanting a better life." David clenched his fists. I gave you the best years of my life, Clara. That should mean more than his wealth. Clara's eyes glistened. David, please stop. It's over. I've chosen him. David shook his head in disbelief. So that's what love means to you? Just aspiring to more comfort? You broke my heart, Clara. She turned away, unable to meet his eyes. I'm sorry, David, but this is the path I chose. David's voice cracked as he muttered, Then you've lost me forever. The following day, Michael sat alone at his office desk, staring blankly at a pile of designs he was supposed to finish. Anita walked in with a small food basket. Michael, are you okay? She asked gently. He forced a smile. Yes, I'll be fine. Anita placed the basket in front of him. I brought you something to eat. You've been working too much. Michael sighed. Thank you, Anita. I really needed this. She studied his face. Why are you pushing yourself so hard? Michael leaned back in his chair. I want to finish this work early, so I can save some money and start a new project. My dream is to build houses and sell them. Anita's eyes brightened. That's a wonderful idea, Michael. He nodded slowly. I hope so. But right now I feel so broken. Clara was my world. And now, his voice cracked and he stopped. Anita reached across the table, her hand resting gently on his. Michael, I know it hurts, but you are stronger than you think. You'll get through this. Michael looked at her sincerely. You're a woman who gives me peace, Anita. Thank you. Anita smiled softly. And you're a man with a good heart. Don't let her betrayal define your worth. That evening, as Michael packed up his work, Anita approached again. I also have something for you. Michael frowned. What now? Anita pulled out a small notebook. It's for all the support you've given me at work. I thought you might like it. Michael chuckled. Thank you. You're very sweet. Anita blushed. Don't make me shy, Michael. He shook his head. I'm only telling the truth. You look beautiful when you smile. At that moment, one of the junior workers called out, Architect, we're out of ceramic tiles. Michael quickly stood. I'll go buy more. He turned to Anita. See you later. A few days later, Michael stopped by Anita's desk after work. Hey, Anita, I was thinking maybe one of these days we could go out for a walk. Nothing serious, just some fresh air. Anita looked surprised but smiled. I'd like that. Michael nodded. Great. I'll let you know when I'm free. Anita teased. Don't overwork yourself before then. Michael chuckled. I'll take your advice. Weeks passed, and Michael's workload eased. One afternoon, he appeared at Anita's desk, holding a small flower. A flower for another flower, he said warmly. Anita's cheeks flushed as she accepted it. Thank you, Michael. They're beautiful. He smiled. Not as beautiful as your smile. Anita giggled softly. You seem happy today. Michael leaned against the desk. Yes, I received a bonus for completing the project ahead of time. Anita clapped her hands. That's amazing. Congratulations. Michael nodded. I'm happy, but there's still one problem. My housing project, I don't have enough money to start it. And the banks won't give me a loan. Anita tilted her head thoughtfully. Then look for a partner. Michael shook his head. It's too risky. If the houses don't sell, or we lose money, I'll ruin everything. Anita leaned closer. Then I'll be your partner. Michael stared at her in shock. Didn't you hear what I just said? It's dangerous. Anita shrugged. If you don't want me, that's fine. But I trust you, Michael. He frowned. Why do you trust me so much when you don't even know if this project will succeed? Anita placed her hand on his. It's a gut feeling, and I'm willing to stand with you through thick and thin. Michael hesitated, then sighed. Anita, are you sure about this? What if we lose everything? Anita smiled. I'm sure. I'll sell my little car, gather all my savings, and we'll start together. Michael looked into her eyes. You're really something else. Most people would run away, but you're ready to risk it all. Anita whispered, That's because I believe in you. For the first time in weeks, Michael felt a spark of hope return to his chest. That night, as Michael lay in bed, he kept thinking about Anita's words. Her trust, her willingness to risk everything for him. It was different from Clara's shallow love. He remembered how Clara had left him for a man with more money, more comfort. But Anita was offering her heart, her savings, her everything, without knowing what the outcome would be. Maybe this is what real love looks like, Michael whispered into the darkness. The following week, Anita and Michael met at a cafe to discuss the details. We'll start small, Michael explained, sketching plans on paper. One house first. If it works, then we expand. Anita nodded. Agreed. We'll take it step by step. Michael smiled. I can't believe you're doing this with me. Anita reached for her cup of tea. I told you, Michael. I believe in you. And I like you more than you realize. Michael froze, his heart racing. Slowly, he said, I like you too, Anita. 6 months later, Michael stood at a construction site with Anita beside him, checking measurements. 250, engineer? Michael asked. The worker nodded. Anita pointed at the wall. Make sure the height is correct too. Suddenly, a phone call came through. Anita answered and her face lit up. Michael, we sold the third house. Michael's eyes widened. Are you serious? We did it. Anita laughed joyfully. Yes, Michael. You dreamed of this, and now it's happening. Michael pulled her into a hug. No, Anita. We made it happen together. As the houses sold one after another, Michael felt his dream taking shape. One evening, he and Anita stood on the balcony of their latest completed home, watching the sunset paint the sky orange. Anita, Michael said softly, I just feel so grateful. You didn't just believe in me. You walked with me every step. Anita smiled, her eyes glistening. And I'm glad I did. Look at us now. From nothing to this. Michael took her hand. I love you, Anita. She whispered, and I love you too. Michael paused, his heart racing. Anita, I want to ask you something important. Anita tilted her head curiously. What is it? Michael dropped to one knee, pulling out a small velvet box he had saved for months to buy. Will you marry me? Anita's gasp caught in her throat. Tears welled in her eyes. Yes, Michael. Yes, I want to marry you. He slipped a ring on her finger, his voice trembling. I promise to love you until my last breath. I'll make you the happiest woman alive. Anita hugged him tightly. I already am. Months later, Anita carefully reviewed their wedding plans while Michael organized work schedules for his workers. What do you think about this date? Anita asked. Your secretary said you're free, and it would give us time to plan something special. Michael smiled warmly. It's perfect, my love. Thank you for handling everything. Anita nodded happily. All set. Michael stood, kissed her forehead, and excused himself. I'll just step into the bathroom. Wait here for me. As Michael left, a familiar voice called out. Michael, I didn't expect to see you here. He turned sharply. It was Clara, dressed elegantly, her eyes darting nervously. Michael's chest tightened. Clara, what are you doing here? She smiled faintly. I came with my husband. Michael raised a brow. Paul forgave you? Clara shook her head. No, I married Josiah, the project director here. Michael let out a low whistle. So you finally got what you were looking for. Clara forced a smile. And you? Still an assistant? Michael straightened. No, I'm the architect in charge. The project is mine. Just then, Josiah approached, cheerful. Boss, good afternoon. He turned to Clara. Let me introduce my wife, Clara. Michael's jaw tightened, but he extended his hand politely. Nice to meet you, Clara. Josiah beamed. My boss is remarkable. He built all of this from scratch. I hope to follow in his footsteps. Michael smiled thinly. Thank you, Josiah. You'll do well. Josiah continued, speaking warmly. You know, my boss once had a girlfriend who left him because she thought he wasn't enough. If only she could see him now, she'd regret it. Clara's face paled. She quickly muttered, Excuse me, I'm not feeling well. Josiah frowned. Is something wrong, my love? Clara shook her head. Nothing. She hurried out before anyone else could notice her trembling hands. Josiah looked back at Michael apologetically. Sir, I'm sorry. I don't know what came over her. She was so excited to meet you, and now Michael waved it off. Don't worry, Josiah. Maybe she just needs some rest. Josiah smiled. Who knows? Maybe she's preparing a surprise for me. If she tells me I'm going to be a father, that would be the best news. Michael forced a smile, but his mind wandered back to Clara's expression. Later that evening, Michael sat with Anita in their living room. She noticed his faraway look. Michael, are you okay? He hesitated, then nodded. Yes, I just saw Clara today. She's Josiah's wife now. Anita studied him carefully. And how did that make you feel? Michael sighed. Strange. She looked regretful. But honestly, it doesn't matter anymore. The only thing that matters is you. I love you. Anita reached over, squeezing his hand. And I love you too. You're my future, Michael. Michael smiled softly. Speaking of the future, I brought you something. Anita raised a brow. What is it? He handed her a small envelope. She opened it slowly, her eyes widening as she read. Michael, is this real? Are we going to be parents? Michael grinned, his eyes misty. Yes, my love. You're carrying our baby. Tears spilled down Anita's cheeks as she threw her arms around him. Michael, I love you so much. He kissed her forehead. And I'll be the best father in the world. I promised that night. As Anita lay in Michael's arms, she whispered, Do you think Clara regrets her choice? Michael stared at the ceiling for a moment before answering softly. Maybe she does. But her regret doesn't concern me anymore. The only thing I know for sure is that life gave me another chance. And this time, I won't waste it. Anita snuggled closer. And we'll build everything together. Michael smiled, closing his eyes. Yes, my love. Together. Months passed quickly, and Michael and Anita's wedding day arrived. Friends, colleagues, and family filled the hall, decorated with fresh white roses. Michael stood at the altar, his heart racing, as Anita walked down the aisle in a flowing gown. She looked radiant, her eyes locked on his. When she reached him, he whispered, You're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. Anita blushed. And you're the man I prayed for. The pastor smiled warmly as the ceremony began. During the vows, Michael's voice shook with emotion. Anita, I promise to honor you, to cherish you, to protect you, and to love you until my last breath. Anita's hands trembled as she replied, Michael, I promise to stand by you, to lift you up in hard times, and to share all my days with you. You're my home. The crowd cheered as they sealed their vows with a kiss. Joy filled the air. Michael whispered, I will never let you go. After the ceremony, as guests congratulated the couple, Michael noticed a figure at the far end of the hall. Clara stood quietly, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. She didn't approach, only watch from a distance. Michael squeezed Anita's hand. Ignore it, he told himself silently. My past is behind me. Anita, sensing his tension, asked, Are you okay? Michael nodded. I'm perfect as long as I'm with you. Clara left the hall before the reception began. As she sat alone in the back seat of her car, she whispered bitterly, That could have been me. I could have been the one standing beside him. Her driver glanced at her through the mirror. Madam, are you all right? Clara wiped her eyes quickly. Yes, drive on. But inside, regret gnawed at her heart like a wound that wouldn't heal. Meanwhile, Michael and Anita danced under the golden lights of the reception. Laughter and music filled the air. I can't believe this is real, Anita said, resting her head on his shoulder. Michael kissed her hair. It's real, my love, and it's only the beginning. Guests clapped and cheered as the couple twirled. One of Michael's colleagues leaned over to another. He deserves this happiness after everything he went through. Weeks after the wedding, Michael and Anita moved into a new house they had built together. Anita walked through the rooms, her hand brushing walls. This feels like home, she whispered. Michael wrapped his arms around her. It's our home, a place filled with love, not lies. Anita smiled. And soon, it will echo with the laughter of our child. Michael pressed his forehead against hers. I can't wait to be a father. One afternoon, Michael ran into Josiah at the construction site. Boss, good news, Josiah said cheerfully. My wife is expecting a baby. Michael forced a polite smile. That's wonderful. Congratulations. Josiah beamed. Thank you, sir. I can't wait to be a father. Clara seems happier now. Michael nodded, but said nothing more. Inside, he wondered if Clara's smile was genuine, or just another mask she wore. That evening, Anita noticed Michael's silence. What's on your mind? She asked. Michael hesitated. Josiah told me Clara is pregnant. Anita reached for his hand. Does that bother you? Michael shook his head firmly. No, not all. It only reminds me how blessed I am to have you. Clara may have chosen differently, but I gained everything she could never give me. true love. Anita kissed his hand gently. And you gave me the same. Months turned into a year, and Michael and Anita welcomed a baby boy into the world. As he held the tiny bundle in his arms, Michael's heart swelled with joy. "Welcome, little one," he whispered. "You're my greatest blessing." Anita, tired but smiling, said softly, "He has your eyes." Michael kissed her forehead. "And he has your courage." Tears streamed down his face as he rocked his son gently. This is what happiness feels like. News of Michael's growing family and successful projects spread through the community. One afternoon, Clara passed by their new estate in her husband's car. She saw Michael laughing with Anita and holding their baby. Her chest tightened painfully. "He's happy," she whispered bitterly. Josiah, noticing her distant gaze, asked, "Are you all right?" Clara forced a smile. "Yes, I'm fine." But deep down, she knew the truth. She had lost the man who would have loved her beyond measure, and no wealth could fill that emptiness. Life settled into a peaceful rhythm for Michael and Anita. Their son, Daniel, grew quickly, filling their home with laughter. Michael often returned from work to find Anita playing with him on the floor. "Daddy's home," Anita would call, and little Daniel would wobble over on unsteady feet. Michael would scoop him into his arms, his heart overflowing. "I'll never let anything break this family," he vowed silently each night as he watched Anita and Daniel sleep. But one evening, as Michael closed the gate after parking his car, he noticed someone standing nearby. It was Clara. She looked worn out, her makeup faded, and her eyes tired. "Michael," she whispered, "can we talk?" Michael stiffened. "Clara, what are you doing here? You shouldn't be anywhere near my house." Clara clasped her hands desperately. "Please, just 5 minutes. That's all I ask." Michael shook his head. "There's nothing left to say." Clara's voice broke. "I regret everything, Michael. Leaving you was the worst mistake of my life." Michael stared at her coldly. "Now you regret it? After all these years?" Clara's tears fell freely. "I thought wealth and status would make me happy, but all I got was loneliness. Josiah provides everything except love. He doesn't see me, Michael. Not like he did." Michael's jaw tightened. "Clara, you had your chance. You chose money over love. I gave you my heart, and you threw it away." Clara sobbed. "I was foolish. If I could turn back time, I'd choose you 1,000 times." Before Michael could respond, Anita stepped out of the house, carrying Daniel. "Michael, who's at the gate?" she asked softly. Clara froze when she saw the family. Anita's face remained calm, but her eyes were sharp. Michael stepped forward, placing an arm around Anita. "This is Clara, an old mistake from my past." Clara winced at his words. Anita smiled politely. "Good evening, Clara. I hope you find peace." Without another word, she turned and walked back inside with Daniel in her arms. Michael faced Clara again. "Do you see that?" he asked firmly. "That's what real love looks like. Loyalty, sacrifice, and trust. Something you could never give me." Clara's lips trembled. "I know, and I'll live with that regret for the rest of my life." Michael exhaled deeply. "Then let this be our last conversation. Goodbye, Clara." He turned and closed the gate firmly, leaving her standing in the shadows of her own choices. Inside the house, Anita placed Daniel in his crib and turned to Michael. "What did she want?" she asked gently. Michael sighed. "To apologize. To say she regrets everything." Anita studied him carefully. "And what did you say?" Michael held her hands. "That it was too late. My life is here, with you and Daniel. Nothing else matters." Anita smiled softly. "That's all I needed to hear." Weeks later, Clara confided in her cousin about that encounter. "I saw Michael with his wife and child," she said bitterly. "He looked so happy, happier than he ever was with me." Her cousin shook her head. "Clara, you chased after wealth, but you lost the one thing money can't buy, genuine love. You'll have to live with that choice." Clara buried her face in her hands. "And I will. Every single day." Meanwhile, Michael's construction company flourished. He was no longer just an assistant. He was now a respected entrepreneur in the community. Young architects sought his guidance, and clients trusted his work. At an awards ceremony, Michael stood on stage holding a plaque. "This success," he said, his voice firm, is not mine alone. It belongs to my wife, Anita, who believed in me when no one else did, and to my son, who gives me reason to keep building." The audience erupted in applause. After the ceremony, Anita hugged him tightly. "I'm so proud of you, Michael." He kissed her forehead. "I couldn't have done it without you, my love." She smiled. "Do you remember when you doubted yourself? Look how far you've come." Michael chuckled. "I remember. And I remember the woman who risked everything just to stand beside me. That's the woman I'll love forever." Anita's eyes glistened. "And I'll love you till my last breath." That night, as they sat on their balcony watching the stars, Anita leaned on Michael's shoulder. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if Clara hadn't left you?" Michael shook his head. "No. If she hadn't left, I might never have found you. And then I would have missed the best thing that ever happened to me." Anita smiled. "Life has a strange way of bringing us where we belong." Michael kissed her gently. "Yes, and I belong right here with you." Years passed, and Michael and Anita's love only deepened. Their son Daniel grew into a lively, curious child who adored spending time at construction sites with his father. "Daddy, when I grow up, I want to build houses just like you," Daniel declared one afternoon. Michael ruffled his hair. "Then I'll teach you everything I know." Anita, watching them from the porch, smiled warmly. "Like father, like son," she whispered. Their home radiated with laughter and contentment. One day, while Michael supervised a new project, Josiah approached him again. His once bright eyes now looked weary. "Boss," he said quietly, "Clara and I, we're not doing well." Michael looked at him, but said nothing. Josiah sighed. "She's never satisfied. No matter what I provide, it's never enough." Michael simply placed a hand on his shoulder. "Some people chase shadows, Josiah. Don't let her drain you completely." Josiah nodded slowly. "I wish I had a wife like yours. Loyal, supportive, faithful." Michael's lips curved faintly. "I'm blessed, and I don't take it for granted." That evening, Anita listened as Michael recounted his conversation with Josiah. "It seems Clara still hasn't changed," Anita said softly. Michael exhaled. "She won't, and that's her burden to carry. Ours is different. We carry love, trust, and gratitude." Anita reached across the table and held his hand. "And that's why we'll always stand strong, no matter what comes." Michael smiled. "Exactly, my love." When Daniel turned 10, Michael organized a small family celebration at home. Balloons filled the living room, and the laughter of children echoed through the house. As Anita served cake, Michael pulled her aside. "Look around, Anita. This is the life I prayed for. A home filled with joy, not sorrow." Anita kissed his cheek. "And it's only the beginning. We've built more than houses. We've built a legacy." Michael nodded, his heart swelling with gratitude. Clara, however, sat alone in her lavish but cold mansion. The walls gleamed with wealth, but her heart was empty. She scrolled through her phone and stumbled upon photos of Michael's awards ceremony shared on social media. In one, Anita stood proudly beside him, holding Daniel. Clara's eyes burned with tears. "That could have been me," she whispered. "But I chose wrong." Her hands shook as she set the phone aside, the weight of regret pressing heavily on her chest. Meanwhile, Michael expanded his company into neighboring cities. With Anita managing finances and Daniel showing interest in design, the business grew into a family affair. One day, Michael told Anita, "We'll hand this company to Daniel. It'll be his inheritance." Anita smiled proudly. "And he'll carry it with honor because he's learning not just about buildings, but about values, love, trust, and integrity." Michael kissed her hand. "That's what matters most." Years later, Michael was invited to speak at a university seminar. Standing before hundreds of eager students, he shared his journey. "Success isn't about wealth alone," he said. "It's about who stands by you when you have nothing. I lost someone who valued money more than love. But then, I gained a woman who believed in me when the world doubted me. That faith turned my dreams into reality." The students applauded, inspired by his words. After the seminar, a young student asked him, "Sir, what's your greatest achievement? Your company, your awards, or your wealth?" Michael smiled. "None of those. My greatest achievement is my family. A wife who stood by me when I had nothing, and a son who reminds me every day why I must keep building. That is worth more than all the money in the world." The student nodded, moved by his sincerity. At home that evening, Michael sat on the porch with Anita. Daniel played football in the yard, his laughter echoing into the night. Michael wrapped his arm around Anita. "Do you ever think about how different life could have been?" Anita looked up at him. "Sometimes. But then I remember, everything happens for a reason. Clara leaving opened the door for us." Michael nodded, "And I thank God every day for that door." Anita kissed his cheek. "So do I." As the years stretched on, Michael and Anita grew old together, their love unwavering. Their home remained filled with warmth, and Daniel carried forward the legacy they had built. Meanwhile, Clara faded into the shadows of regret, a reminder of what happens when love is traded for wealth. One evening, as Michael watched Anita rocking gently on the porch, he whispered, "You were my second chance, my miracle." Anita smiled, her eyes soft with love. "And you were mine." With hearts bound by trust and sacrifice, they knew they had truly won at life, together.